everyone, I'm Julie from Julie's Everything Treasures, and it's Friday. That means we are doing Furniture Friday, and we are going to be doing this piece of furniture, which I will show you in a little bit. Just to say hello and welcome. If you are new, then pop on in the comments and say hello. I'd love to welcome you. And if you already know what's happening, then you know I've started doing lives 6 days a week, and Fridays is my Furniture Fridays, where I'll do a paint technique or a little bit of furniture or something to do with furniture, usually on a Friday. So I am going to get going on this piece, and it's a weird angle, and that's because I'm doing it to show you guys what I'm doing. So this is actually, hi Denise, how are you doing? This is a bench that I have. It had fabric and foam and everything, an old bench, and it's got the metal legs. I took the fabric off, and what I was going to do with this piece was put some kind of wood, rustic wood or planks on here, and I just never got round to doing it. And right now I need the furniture, I need something in my place. Thank you, Denise. And one thing before I get going, if Denise, you could do me a huge favour, that would be great. I am going to be using today, if you can put in the correct name for this. This is the IOD stamps, the plank ones. Denise, can you pop in the comments the correct name for this stamp? And I will also be using the IOD ink and pad. And also, Denise, could you please put into the comments, hi Nadine, how you doing? You can put into the comments the link iwanttocraft.com, so that everyone knows that if they want to get the stamps or the ink, this is where I would suggest that you pick this up. And it is in Canada. If you are in the States, she also ships to the States too. And if you also want to just look for a retailer closer to your home, that's fine too. It's IOD stamps and ink. But if you are looking for a retailer that sells and ships and has them, then iwanttocraft.com, you can get the items from there. So if Denise, you could please just pop them in the comments while I'm talking, that would be great, because then everyone will know exactly what stamps I'm going to be using today. I don't know the correct name for it. I know I call it the plank stamp. And one plank, there you go. Thank you, Denise. And if you can put in the comments iwanttocraft.com for the link for anyone that wants to purchase these, that's wonderful. And then I never remember the stamps names, I never remember any of that kind of thing, so it'd be great if someone with the knowledge with the correct terms, and then you know what I'm using. So what I'm going to be doing is, as I said, I wanted to put on here some wood, and I never got round to it, and I need this for an actual display I'm doing. So what I'm going to be doing is actually the fake planking. And I thought, while I do that, why not show you guys how I do it. The stamps come with many different pieces. I use it a lot. It's got the planks, it's even got the pattern of the saw marks, it's got the knots that you can put on, and then you can tell I use it a lot. Here, if I can show you, it has where you put the nail and everything else, so you can kind of play around. There's many other pieces to this. You get lots with the stamp, and I'm going to show you how I use it, but everyone has their own technique on this, and this just may give you some inspiration of how you could use it too. So first of all, I'm going to just do a little wet distressing on this, and just to give it some definition, some depth, and a little interest. So I've just got a wet rag, and I'm just kind of going to rub a little bit, if I can get just, it's grey, charcoal grey and black underneath here, and I don't want to distress a lot, just around the edges. Random spots. As I say, it's just a damp cloth, and what I have on here actually is 3 coats. Unfortunately, I had to do 3 coats of white chalk paint. And just the water from the wet cloth just takes off some of the paint, so it reveals what's underneath. And as I say, I'm not doing it everywhere, I'm just doing it a little bit, just to give it some texture and interest before I put stamps on. And once you've used a piece of the cloth, you've got the wet paint that's come onto here, just find another part of the cloth and just keep rubbing until it shows the underneath. Just here. As I say, this particular paint I used on this, I had to do 3 coats, so it was a little bit tough to rub, but to get a nice cover with the paint I used. I actually have the paint here. It's my regular white linen, which I get from Home Depot, but unfortunately when you do get this brand, I do like it. It's easy to get, but quite often you need, with the white colour, 3 coats. Where if you use something like the DIY paint, you'd probably get away with doing 2 coats. So I am going to put the first one on and just going along doing the plank as I would do it. So I always start with this piece here. I think it's more interesting than all the others, so I like this one to go all the way along. And I'm just going to do it up here for the first one, just so that you can see what I'm doing. But I'm going to do it on the ground after that, just to be quicker. So I've got the Stone Grey IOD ink. It's a permanent ink. All right, Denise, thank you. And I've topped up my pad, and I'm just going to press down onto the stamp, the ink, getting it nice and juicy. And then whichever way up you want to put it, I start at the top and just put it along the top. As I say, if you were doing it pressing downwards on the table, it would be a lot easier, but I wanted to do it at this angle so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to kind of push flat. Don't shift, or else it'll give you a smudged line, and you don't want that. You want it nice and clear. And there you go, is the first one. Quite often you can get away with doing 2. So I'm just going to do that again with the ink. And I did top up the ink a little bit today, so hopefully it's nice and juicy to be able to do at least 2 out of it. And I may even be able to do 3. Let me see if I can do the third one. And don't worry about the end, you can just put a little bit on the end. No big deal. Pushing it on. And then just a little bit at the end. There you go. So that's the first start of this. And what I would do next is go along with the same stamp and go this way. I'll do 2 layers for now. If we get it all done, that's wonderful, but I'm not going to try to get it all done and be boring, so I'm doing repetitive stuff. So I'm going to start here. Now if you want a more rustic look, you can do it with, you can put some grey and white different paint underneath. And if you want to do it browns, you can do it browns. You can do whatever kind of look you want. Over here, you just don't want to be starting each layer in the same place, or else you're going to have kind of too much of a uniformed look. Push firmly to get a nice image. I'm just going to get a little bit more ink for the next one because this one's a little light. I think it does 3 quite nicely, but the 4th one I'm going to need to top up just a little bit. As I say, try not to shift. I shifted a little tiny bit on this end bit and it's just a little bit smudged. It doesn't take long to dry, but when you're working back over the top, make sure it is dry. So what I use next is this piece here, and I like that it's got the line. So I use the line, actually it's this way up I use, sorry. I like this line here, and this part it's supposed to replicate the saw of the wood. So I put the ink randomly on this, not the whole thing. I find that too uniform, too boring. So I put the ink along here and just randomly coming up a little bit onto the saw mark. So, as I say, this part here, I put the ink along the bottom, along the line, and just randomly a little bit up the saw marks. And I change it up each time I do it. So then I go in between, back over, and this I push down firmly on the line and then up onto what is replicating the saw mark of the wood. And you've got the saw mark. Then go back over again. And you've got a little bit of the saw mark in there. I'm just going to top it up and go right to the edge. Over here, try and keep your line all the way along, as straight as you can, but not perfect, because no piece of wood is perfect. And then just go to the end. So then on this top part, what I do is look for some spots that are kind of a little bit either plain or boring, like I find here. There's not much going on here. So I'm going to put in a knot in that area. So I'm just going to top up the ink on there, getting it nice and juicy, and just push it onto here. Push it on, don't shift. Keep it in place. And then if you have your knot, I'll bring you in closer so you can see. So what I do next on this first part here is I decide how long I want the planks to be, because you do want some kind of join, and it's making me think that the join should be here. There's definitely a little bit of a gap here, so I'm going to go with that, and I'm going to use this part here to show the end of the piece of wood, and what it would be is the nails. So I'm just going to top this up, get it nice and juicy. line it up with where you want it to be. Don't shift. Push down the nails nice and firmly and then go along the middle so you've got that break line. Then pull it off and you have, as I say, I'll bring you in closely so you can see that. Looks like the nails, and there's the one piece of the wood. You've got one plank, and then this part here would be a second plank. When you're doing the next level, make sure you don't do the join of the plank in the same place. You want it at a different part. Let's do the next line. Yep, these stamps are great. I love them. So I want, again, we're going to do the line right across. So I'm going to make sure I do the line with a random part of the saw marks with the ink. Don't do it the same way twice because no saw is ever the same. And then just figure out where you want your line for your plank. Trying to get it so that you know that you've got enough space for one more down. You may have a bit of a gap, so you may have to pull it out further. You've never seen this? Yeah, it's just basically, it's a permanent ink, IOD ink, with the IOD stamps. Barn plank is this one, and you can play around with it. There's another way I've used it before too, which I will show you one time, one day, is that you can literally, you can paint the background white, let it dry, and then you can go in with a brown paint while it's wet, push down with the stamps, peel it off, and actually the form of the stamp will pull off the wet paint and reveal the lines, so it looks like barnwood brown. And I'll do that one another day in the future when I get a chance. And that one looks good too, just a little bit more kind of tedious to do. So let's go along and just do this line here. Try and match up your line best you can, as I say. No wood is ever perfectly straight. And I'm even at an angle here, so I'll kind of come down a bit when I get to the end. As you see, I went up a little bit, so I'm just going to manipulate it to go down on the next one. But this being a rustic piece of wood, basically, it's you can kind of go any ways you want, you know. There's room for a little bit of error when you're doing anything rustic. And just a little bit on the end here, if I can. There we go. Alright, so now I'm looking at it again to see if there's any spots that are kind of boring and plain. Here, I would maybe put a knot. But to be honest, I think it's just way too close to this one. I think that would be too distracting, but it would be a good place to put it. But here I find where I've shifted a little and it's a little plain. Hey Marsha, how are you doing? Yes, I am Marsha. I'm going to do the whole thing in the barnwood. So I think I'm going to put a knot here. Don't put too many knots on the piece. It doesn't have to be on every layer. It doesn't have to be everywhere. That would not be realistic. It'd be too gimmicky. Try and make it as natural as you can. And just put the knot. I'm going to put it in here. In this, there's a couple of these different ones. This one's my favourite, but there are a couple of different knots that you can use. And now I'm looking to see where want to do the partition of where the wood is going to be, and I think there's a gap here, and I think that'd be perfect here for the line. So I'll do that, and then I'll bring you in closer. Get it nice and juicy, and then just put it in place. Once you've got it down, you can't change your mind. You're not moving. While the ink is still wet, you could wipe it up a little bit if you make a mistake, but there's not really much room for error. But there you go. I'll bring you in closer so you can actually see. That's the end of the wood. So we're going to just do this here, and as you can tell, this plank and this plank, there's definitely too much room here for just kind of one plank, so you're going to be stretching it a little bit, and no big deal on that. Yes, there are different ones. There's all kinds of ones. There's lots of different pieces you can use. There's even this one here that you can use, that's quite busy. But I find I like this one. This one I've done many times. I like the outcome on this one, and this is how I like to do it. So, as I say, this set comes with so many different pieces. It even comes with, you know, smaller ones that you can do edges, you know, and it has even, this one has a different, there's two different ones with the nail. This one's a little bit more rustic looking. There's many parts to the stamp, so it's fun to play with, and you'll find what works for you. And what I like this. But as I say, lots of different ways you can do it, and have fun with it, you know, play around, do it different ways. But when I'm doing the white background and just the grey ink, this is my favourite way of doing it. Get it nice and juicy. And as I say here, it's quite wide, so we're going to kind of manipulate it just a little bit to make it one big piece so it doesn't look weird. And then just go down further and just push the bottom. Then you've got it. Again, up here. A little bit of an angle because it's a weird angle for me to do this. When you're doing a table and you're going flat down, it's a lot easier. But actually, what I'm going to be doing with this, I'm doing the same thing on a mirror that's already on a wall next week. So that's going to be interesting to do. But I have a huge mirror that I don't like. So I'm going to do this effect on the mirror just so that I can get rid of the mirror. And I was very happy when the owner of my rental place that I work out of, I asked commission if I could paint the mirror, and he said yes, of course. And it's a very big, heavy one, so it'll be hard to take off the wall. So I'm actually going to do this effect directly on the mirror, so it looks like a piece of wood wall. Push down. You've got a bit at the bottom, so just go back over, just pushing the bottom part, and then just do the end. And then a little bit up here to fill it in. Now this one, you're still going to go along the bottom. It's not as important to have the line because you've already got your end here. But you still want to have the saw mark, so I still do go along with this one. So I'm just going to do that quickly. And when it's all completely dry, then I just go in with a clear poly sealer seal it up. If you want it a little more rustic, you can even wet distress it a little more, or you can sand it a little bit just to sand down, especially like this one's quite potent, this knot. I could just use a little bit of sandpaper and sand it a little and it'll look a little bit more rustic. So there's many things you can do to make it just correct it how you want it to be. If you like perfect, you can measure out your planks, have it perfect so you don't have one plank wider than the other. But that's not my way. I like to just get in, get it done and have fun with it. And if it's not quite matching up, then just kind of make it work. That's just the way I am. It's my creative side rather than some people are perfectionists. So if you are a perfectionist personality, work out how you want your planks first. Measure it out. That's fine too, not a problem. So I'm having a look around here and I think I am going to put a knot, even though I say you don't always have to put them on, but I'm just going to show you a little trick here of how you can make it less prominent. So I think I'm going to do the knot right over here on the end, and I'm actually just going to put it right on the end, only half a knot. So put the stamp right on the edge and just have it half only. So it looks like the saw mark and the saw went right through the knot. I will bring you closer so you see that, if I can. And there you go. You don't have to have a full knot. So we're going to go in. The last part here is figuring out where you want the planks to be. So we have one here, we have one here. So you don't want one here and you don't really want one here. So you've got to kind of figure out. You could go here, but I think that would look weird too. So I'm actually gonna do it here, even though it is right above, but there is a total gap here, and it's just making my eye look at it and say, that's what's needed. So I will, again, I'll bring you in when I finish so you can have a look, see what I mean. But to me, this is where it feels like it needs to be. So I'm just pushing the bottom in, but I'm pulling the top part off because, as I say, it's a little bit of a longer plank, a wider plank we are creating. So we want the top part at the top. So then you put the top one down and then meet it, just to stretch it that little bit. And a little bit in the middle just to join it. And when you're doing the edges here, like you've got the line here, just on the edge, put the line here too, so it looks like a piece of wood. And you've got the line along here, so on the edge here, you would put a line here as well. So there's your piece of wood. So as I say, I will bring you in, let you have a look. Almost dropped you, sorry guys. But move you closer. And there we have kind of created a faux wood bench that was MDF, and right now just kind of made it a rustic wood looking. And there you go, pretty easy, and that's using the plank, barn plank IOD stamps and the IOD ink, and pretty easy to do. So I'm just gonna pop on and say thanks for watching, and yeah, this is my furniture piece for the week. And yeah, I'm gonna do it on a mirror, so it'll be a big one to do, so I'm not sure I'm gonna do that one live, but I will be doing it on a mirror, and I will show you guys afterwards because I've got an idea what to do it. I'm doing this on the mirror, but this is just going to be the back part. I'm going to be doing other parts to it too, so I'll show you that as well. But yeah, I just thought I would show you how I play with the barn planks. There's many ways, different pieces, lots of pieces in the stamps, so you can create your own way. This is just the beginning, lots of ways to do it. And as I say, I've just put a clear coat over the top. You can even sand it a little, make it more rustic. And yeah, so thanks for watching. This is Furniture Friday, and I will be back again tomorrow 4 p.m. to do our weekend wrap up, and that's basically just going over everything that we've been doing this week and showing you the end results of a few things that we completed this week and what will be going on next week. So I'll be back again tomorrow at 4 p.m. and for tonight I would say thanks for watching, have a great evening, and everyone, please be safe. Thank you.